He was a businessman operating in one of the most profitable industries in American history, an industry created not by free market competition, but by government policy. Prohibition didn't just outlaw alcohol. It manufactured a market, erased legal competition, and handed the supply chain to whoever was bold enough to take it. That market turned ordinary criminals into multimillionaires, corrupted entire cities, and proved a timeless rule of economics. When lawmakers ignore demand, someone else will supply it. When the 18th Amendment came into effect in 1920, banning the manufacture, sale, and transportation of alcohol, the United States government sold it as a moral crusade. Alcohol, they said, was the source of crime, poverty, and domestic abuse. Eliminate it, and society would clean itself up. But this was a political promise, not an economic calculation. The demand for alcohol didn't vanish overnight. In fact, in many places, it grew. And where there is demand with no legal supply, the price rises. That gap, the one between law and reality, was where Al Capone built his empire. Capone was born in 1899 in Brooklyn to poor Italian immigrants. By his early 20s, he was already embedded in organized crime. But Chicago during Prohibition wasn't just a city of opportunity. It was the epicenter of an economic revolution in the underworld. Liquor wasn't just a vice, it was the new oil, and Capone, with his talent for organization, connections, and ruthlessness, was perfectly positioned to dominate it. His operation wasn't a ragtag gang selling bottles in back alleys. It was a vertically integrated enterprise that would make a corporate strategist proud. Capone controlled breweries, distilleries, import routes, and distribution networks. His product flowed into hundreds of speakeasies, underground bars disguised as soda shops, nightclubs, or backrooms, each paying for the privilege of access to a steady supply. His organization earned an estimated $100 million a year in 1920s dollars. Adjusted for inflation, that's roughly $1.5 billion today. Capone wasn't just making money, he was laundering it. The profits from bootlegging were illegal, but Capone understood the importance of legitimacy. He invested in restaurants, nightclubs, and other cash-heavy businesses, which both masked the origins of his wealth and gave his criminal empire a public face. Bribes ensured protection from law enforcement. Politicians looked the other way. In a city where Prohibition had turned half the economy underground, Capone wasn't an outlaw. He was an employer, a patron, and in some circles, a local hero. The key to his success wasn't just violence, though he used it when necessary, but management of risk. He understood that Prohibition was both his opportunity and his vulnerability. His profits existed because the product was illegal. The day it became legal again, the margins would vanish. So he diversified. Gambling, prostitution, and other rackets became part of the portfolio. But alcohol remained the cornerstone because the economics were unmatched. Here's what made it so powerful. Before Prohibition, alcohol was a low-margin commodity. Beer was cheap, wine was accessible, and whiskey was affordable. But once outlawed, every risk in the supply chain added a markup. Bribes for police, payments to drivers, fees to middlemen. The price of liquor skyrocketed, and consumers still paid. Demand wasn't elastic. Alcohol was woven into social life, culture, and tradition. And the people willing to meet that demand controlled a product with government-created scarcity. Capone saw what lawmakers didn't. Prohibition wasn't stopping crime. It was industrializing it. Capone's empire worked because it was designed like a corporation, only without the limitations of legality. His business model had all the elements of a modern enterprise: vertical integration, market control, supply chain security, brand reputation, and an unbeatable distribution network. And the economics were extraordinary because the market was artificially constrained. Every barrel of beer, every bottle of whiskey was a premium product, not because of